Bob Crane's early life. The making of an entertainer. Bob Crane's childhood took place during a period of significant historical and societal upheaval in the United States. Born in Waterbury, Connecticut, in 1928, Bob was raised in a small, close-knit family where entertainment was a key form of escape during the turbulent years of the Great Depression. His father, Alfred Crane, struggled to make a living as an insurance salesman during one of the most economically challenging periods in U.S. history. These circumstances meant the family lived modestly, though they found solace and a sense of connection through music, radio, and films, which were the primary forms of entertainment at the time. As the youngest of 3 children, Bob often had to vie for attention, and from a very early age, he learned that performing could earn him that coveted attention. It was this impulse to entertain that set the foundation for his future career. His mother, Rosemary, encouraged his natural talent and made sacrifices to ensure that Bob could pursue his love for the arts. Music, in particular, was a constant in his life, and at just 11 years old, Bob began playing the drums. This newfound passion consumed him, and he spent countless hours practicing, often performing at school events or in local bands. His childhood, however, wasn't without its struggles. His parents' marriage was strained due to financial difficulties, and Bob found solace in the rhythm of his drums and the dream of making it big in entertainment. World War II, which erupted when Bob was still a young teenager, had a profound effect on his worldview. Though he was too young to enlist, the war defined much of his adolescence. Radio broadcasts carried war updates and patriotic programs, which intensified his love for the medium. He admired the radio hosts of the era, viewing them as both entertainers and conveyors of critical information, and began to imagine himself in their shoes. Bob Crane's path into radio. The dream takes shape. By the time Bob Crane graduated from high school in 1946, World War II had ended, and the U.S. was entering a period of rapid economic expansion. The entertainment industry, particularly radio, was thriving, and this presented opportunities for ambitious young talents like Bob. After trying his hand at various jobs while continuing to play drums in local bands, Crane was able to secure a position as a radio announcer at a small station in Hornell, New York, WLEA. Though the station was tiny and Crane's role was far from glamorous, it represented the first step toward his dream career. Crane's early years in radio involved a mix of tedious work and moments of creative freedom. He learned the technical aspects of broadcasting, but it was his personality and knack for improvisation that began to make him stand out. He didn't shy away from using humor on air, and his natural wit began to charm the local audience. However, Crane was restless. He viewed Hornell as a stepping stone and kept his eyes on larger markets. Over the next several years, he moved through various radio stations, each job bringing him closer to the epicenter of the entertainment world. By 1956, his persistence had paid off when he was hired by KNX in Los Angeles, a flagship station for CBS. At KNX, Crane became the host of their popular morning show, where his career truly began to flourish. The show became known for its eclectic mix of music, celebrity interviews, and Crane's quick-witted humor. He had an uncanny ability to connect with listeners, blending his charm with improvisational comedy. It wasn't long before he earned the nickname, the King of the Los Angeles Airwaves. Hollywood's biggest stars became regular guests on his show, and his connections within the industry grew deeper. Frank Sinatra, Marilyn Monroe, and Bob Hope all appeared on Crane's morning program, further solidifying his status as a major player in the entertainment scene. Television breakthrough. The making of a star. Crane's transition from radio to television came as the entertainment industry was undergoing a massive transformation in the late 1950s and early 1960s. Television was quickly eclipsing radio as the dominant medium in American households, and Crane knew that he had to make the leap if he wanted to stay relevant. His reputation as a radio personality had already begun to open doors, and he landed guest spots on popular TV shows like The Twilight Zone and The Donna Reed Show. While these roles were small, they showcased Crane's versatility as a performer and helped him gain traction in the television world. Then, in 1965, Crane was cast in what would become his career-defining role, Colonel Robert Hogan in Hogan's Heroes. The show was an unlikely success. Set in a German POW camp during World War II, Hogan's Heroes combined comedy with wartime drama, a risky premise that could have easily failed. However, the show became a major hit, running for 6 seasons and catapulting Crane to national fame. Crane's portrayal of Hogan, a charismatic, cunning leader who consistently outwits his Nazi captors, was a central factor in the show's success. He became a household name, adored by fans across the country. However, behind the scenes, Crane's personal life was beginning to unravel. The pressures of fame, coupled with the temptations of Hollywood, began to take their toll. Crane's first marriage to high school sweetheart Anne Terzian, which had already been strained by his relentless work schedule, started to fall apart. Anne, who had supported Crane through his early career struggles, found herself increasingly sidelined as his fame grew. The couple had 3 children, but by the late 1960s, their marriage was in deep trouble and they eventually divorced in 1970. Crane quickly remarried his Hogan's Heroes co-star, Sigrid Valdis, who played Hilda on the show. However, this second marriage would also prove to be tumultuous. Crane's newfound fame had given him access to a world of sexual excess, and his growing addiction to sex began to dominate his personal life. The dark side of fame, voyeurism and sex addiction. As Bob Crane's fame grew, so did his appetite for the hedonistic lifestyle that came with it. He became known in Hollywood's inner circles for his sexual exploits, a part of his life that he kept hidden from the public. However, what started as consensual encounters quickly turned into something darker. In the mid-1960s, Crane's fascination with photography and videography took a disturbing turn. He began recording his sexual encounters with women, many of whom were fans or casual acquaintances. Crane's obsession with documenting these private moments soon became a major part of his personal life. It was around this time that Crane met John Carpenter, a video equipment salesman who would play a central role in both Crane's life and his eventual murder investigation. Carpenter introduced Crane to advanced video technology, and the two became close friends. Together, they would travel the country, with Carpenter acting as Crane's wingman in their pursuit of sexual conquests. Carpenter also set up much of the video equipment Crane used to record his encounters. While Crane's sex addiction remained hidden from the public, it began to consume him. His relationship with Sigrid Valdis became strained, as she grew increasingly aware of his extracurricular activities. Though Crane was never outwardly abusive, his compulsive behavior and the secrecy surrounding it drove a wedge between him and his second wife. Their marriage became another casualty of Crane's darker tendencies, and by the late 1970s, they had separated. Career decline. Life after Hogan's Heroes. After Hogan's Heroes ended in 1971, Crane found it increasingly difficult to maintain the same level of success in his career. While he continued to work, often performing in dinner theaters and taking small guest roles on television, his star had faded considerably. The offers for major roles stopped coming, and Crane was forced to take on lower-profile projects just to keep working. One of his last major projects was the play Beginner's Luck, a dinner theater production that brought Crane to Scottsdale, Arizona, in 1978. By this time, Crane had made the decision to distance himself from Carpenter. The two had grown apart, and Crane reportedly wanted to turn his life around, focusing on rebuilding his career and repairing his relationships. However, this decision may have led to his untimely death. The murder of Bob Crane, a Hollywood tragedy. On June 29, 1978, Bob Crane was found bludgeoned to death in his Scottsdale apartment. He had been struck multiple times with a blunt object, later suspected to be a camera tripod, and a cord had been used to strangle him. The crime scene was horrific, with blood spatter throughout the room and clear signs of a violent struggle. Crane's murder shocked Hollywood and his fans, but it was the investigation that truly captivated the public's attention. The police quickly turned their focus to John Carpenter, who had been in Scottsdale visiting Crane at the time of the murder. Blood smears were found in Carpenter's rental car, and while the blood type matched Crane's, the technology at the time couldn't definitively prove that it belonged to him. Despite this, Carpenter became the prime suspect, but there wasn't enough evidence to charge him. For years, the case remained unsolved, with theories swirling about Carpenter's involvement and the possibility of other suspects. In 1992, the case was reopened, and DNA testing on the blood found in Carpenter's car was conducted. The results were consistent with Crane's DNA, but once again, the evidence was inconclusive. Carpenter was eventually tried for the murder in 1994 but was acquitted due to a lack of definitive proof. Carpenter maintained his innocence until his death in 1998, and, to this day, no one has been convicted of Bob Crane's murder. The case remains one of Hollywood's most notorious unsolved crimes, leaving fans and investigators to speculate about what really happened in that Scottsdale apartment. Legacy and cultural impact. Bob Crane's story is a cautionary tale about the dangers of fame, addiction, and the blurred line between public success and private failure. In the years following his death, Crane's reputation became inextricably linked with the scandalous details of his private life. The public's fascination with his sexual escapades and voyeuristic tendencies overshadowed his accomplishments as a performer, and his murder became the focal point of his legacy. Crane's role as Colonel Hogan remains iconic, and Hogan's Heroes continues to be celebrated as one of the most innovative comedies of its time. However, the shadow of his personal life and tragic death looms large over his legacy. Documentaries, books, and true crime specials have kept the story of Bob Crane's murder alive in popular culture, and for many, the mystery of his death is more compelling than the life he lived. In the decades since his murder, Crane has become a symbol of Hollywood's dark underbelly, the destructive side of fame that few ever see. His life and death serve as a reminder that behind the glitz and glamour of the entertainment industry, there are often personal demons that can lead to tragic outcomes. Conclusion. The tragic and unresolved murder of Bob Crane is a chilling reminder of how fame can conceal deep personal struggles. Behind the comedic genius of a television icon lay a troubled man with a complex and often secretive personal life. While Crane entertained millions with his charm and humor, his private world was unraveling in ways that would eventually contribute to his tragic end. His murder remains one of Hollywood's great unsolved mysteries, an enigma that continues to fascinate true crime fans, and a legacy that, for better or worse, will forever be tinged with scandal and intrigue. Though Hogan's Heroes remains his most enduring contribution to the entertainment industry, Bob Crane's legacy is a cautionary tale of the dangers of fame, addiction, and the complexities of the human spirit. His story, with its twists and unanswered questions, serves as a reminder that even those who make us laugh often carry deep and dark struggles beneath the surface. Thank you for staying with me through this deep dive into the complex, tragic, and fascinating life of Bob Crane. His rise to fame, personal struggles, and unsolved murder make him one of Hollywood's most intriguing figures. At Peaceful Stories, we strive to bring you these kinds of stories that explore not just the success and glitz of the entertainment world, but also the deeper, sometimes darker, tales that often get forgotten or overlooked. If you enjoyed this story and want to hear more untold tales from the past, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. There's so much more to uncover, and as always, we're here to bring those stories to life for you. Until next time, keep seeking the truth and exploring the fascinating history behind the legends of Hollywood. Thank you for watching, and stay peaceful.